is gradually winding down. 27th is about, today is 16th, right? 15, 16. So we're exactly 11 days. Is it 11 or 9 days? 11. So we are 11 days from the start of your examination. Is the reason we put up this series together on quick understanding to help you, guide you, ensure you study effectively, and ensure you have the best return whenever you put your head down to study. So I'm going to do a recap from last week's section for the benefit of those who weren't around. I'll do a very short recap. Ensure you're writing. You can still get something from the recap. Then I'll go into the main section, the main topic I like us to consider with respect to quick understanding. All right. So, way of recap. Last week I did mention that in this section we have three core areas we are going to be looking at. If you wrote, I think you should help me outline them. Number one, we say we are looking at learning pace. Number two, we said we are looking at learning preferences. Then number three, we say we are looking at learning difficulty. So these are the three areas we're going to be covering or focusing on with respect to our section this month. We are looking at learning pace, your learning pace. We are looking at your learning preferences. And lastly, we are looking at learning difficulties. Now, from these core areas, I did mention to you that I have four objectives, right? And I have four questions. In other words, this very section, all three this month, is going to be guided by four objectives and is also going to be guided by four questions. All right. How many of you have written the project before? Okay, no final here. Okay, it's only Victor. Okay, you've written the project before. Currently writing one. Are you a final year student? I even saw you. I saw you. I even saw you wearing convocation gown last week. After I know. I know. And he said, "Thank you for celebrating with me." And after it's convocating for somebody. Okay, that's beautiful. All right, so we have four objectives. I personally have four objectives, four questions guiding this very section. Number one, I say, is to help you find your learning pace. Number two is to help you identify your learning preference. Number three is to help you address learning difficulties that you may have. Then lastly, at the end of it all, the last objective is to help you improve your learning pace. You have a learning pace, and that's what I'm going to be focusing on tonight. All right, you have a learning pace. So my last objective in this very series is to help you improve that learning pace that you have. All right, I want to go the extra mile to help you expand your learning preference. All right, I know you have preferences. Like last week, I did mention some of you, you're visual learners, some of you, you're auditory learners. You just need to see something and you've learned it. All right, but I want to expand that preference you may have. All right, and thirdly, I want to help you address learning difficulties. Here and there, we all have learning difficulties, whether you are aware or you're not aware. But if you're aware of your learning difficulty, it makes it very easy, all right, for you to address it and, of course, focus on the bigger picture. All right. Then, lastly, it is to help you address the learning difficulty, of course. Then my questions that guide this very section throughout this month is, what is learning pace? What is learning pace? If you don't get everything today, don't worry, it's going to be uploaded. It's already uploaded on my YouTube channel. All right, so you can just go check it out. The full section, 38 minutes, was recorded. So my question for this section is, what is learning pace? Number one. What are learning preferences? Number two. What are learning difficulties? Number three. And number four, how do we improve our learning pace, learning preferences, and address our learning difficulties? Are we together? Are we following? I know I'm too fast. It's intentional. Why would you miss club meeting? I know that's why Nana is looking at me and I'm not looking at her. Are we together? All right. So last week I did conclude by telling you what quick understanding is not. How many of you still remember? Ensure you're not distracted by media frenzy. If you miss it here, when it's time to write the exam, they'll still snap you picture. Okay. All right. So I did mention, or I concluded that very section by telling you about what quick understanding is not. All right. And I said, number one, quick understanding is not measured by your reading speed. Here and there, people can read many number of book or X number of book in a day, in a year, in a given period of time. But all of that activity, that speed reading activity, does not translate to quick understanding or would not translate to understanding. It's very possible, sweetheart, let me see that your book. Just put that your book together. Let me see. No, your book, right? It's possible to go through, if that's a book by an author, it's possible to go through 12 kinds or 12 types of that very book in a day. It's possible. It doesn't take you anything. It's just to scan. But because you've gone through, it doesn't really mean you understand the content of what is written in that very book. So in other words, quick understanding is not measured by your speed reading, all right, or speed reading. Secondly, I did mention that quick understanding is not measured by reading marathon, all right, time reading marathon. In other words, you can read for 10 hours, and during the period of 10 hours, the only point you get quick understanding might just be the first 30 minutes or maybe the first 1 hour. But you're still engaged in reading. Reading doesn't stop, but understanding pauses. I mentioned that. Then lastly, I mentioned that quick understanding is not a function of quick reading scheme. And in reference to quick reading scheme, I mentioned to you that if you're reading and you have to aid your reading or your understanding by taking Nescaf, you might not be very serious to study. Nescaf doesn't do anything to your brain. If it keeps you awake, it might not keep you awake during the exam hall. Are we understanding what I'm saying? They say you should read. The best way to read and understand is to burn the midnight candle. No problem. I believe when you're burning the midnight candle, is also entering your brain. All right. Those are quick reading schemes. Or perhaps they tell you, if you really want to read and understand, put your leg inside cold water, a bucket of cold water, and place your book on the table. While you're reading, the coldness of the water is entering into your feet, is entering into your brain. It will, come on now. You have to be serious with yourself. All of that are quick reading schemes, and they don't work. All right. They don't work. If they work, it's going to be very short term and it will be short lived. So what I want to introduce you to are long-term plans, things you can do, all right? And when you turn your back after a while, having done them, you're going to be very proud of yourself. So somebody say quick understanding. Say quick understanding. Smile and say quick understanding. All right, so are you ready for today's section? Who is ready for today's section?
Yeah.
Who came ready? Okay, all right. Johnson, you came ready. You're taking pictures. Okay, quick understanding. All right, all right, all right. Okay, quick understanding. So last week I did, my bit in helping you understand what quick understanding is not, right? So today, let's now understand what quick understanding is by definition. And it's the same thing I've been saying all this while. So what is quick understanding? Right here in my notes, let me read for you so you can write. Right? I say quick understanding is the ability of a student to identify his or her learning pace, preferences, and difficulties. Let's take that together. That quick understanding is a student's ability, right, to identify his or her learning pace, preferences, and difficulties with the aim of improving his or her learning pace, preferences, and addressing the difficulties. I'll go again. Don't worry, I'll go again. Just stay with me. What is quick understanding? Quick understanding is a student's ability to identify his or her learning pace, all right, preferences, and difficulties with the aim of improving that learning pace, the preferences, and addressing difficulties. Are we there? Are we all there? Don't worry, someday we have a projector, so when you look up, you can see the writings and you can continue. One more time, what is quick understanding? Quick understanding is a student's ability to identify his or her learning pace, preferences, and difficulties. Learning pace, preferences, and difficulties with the aim of improving that learning pace, the preferences, and addressing the difficulties. I believe we all get it now. We've gotten it right. So this is quick understanding. So if I want to say you have quick understanding or you're on the path of quick understanding, if you can identify your learning pace, marvelous. You're on the path of quick understanding, right? If you can clearly tell me this is my learning pace, all right? I'm a slow-paced learner or a mid-paced learner or a fast-paced learner. You're on the path, a very short path of arriving at quick understanding. And now let me also bring your reference back. When I say slow-paced learner, mid-paced learner, or perhaps fast-paced learner, I'm not saying you are a slow learner. I'm saying that the process or the timing to which it takes you in learning might be slow. That doesn't mean Victor is a slow learner. Are you understanding? Because I understand sometimes, when we try to define all of these things, somebody get back home and thinking they called me a slow learner. I think you are not a slow learner. Hello. You are not a slow learner. You are not a mid-paced learner. You are not a fast. You are a learner, right? But the process to which you learn, right, might be categorized as slow, mid-pace, or fast-pace. So your responsibility as students, if you want to arrive at quick understanding, is to identify what your pace is. If you don't know it, how do you improve it? Are we together? It's more like you don't know and you're not willing to know, right? So somebody said if you are in a ditch, the first thing is to find out how to come out of the ditch. It's not by staying in the ditch and by complaining. So you identify that pace, then you identify your preferences. Your preferences talks about learning style, how best you learn. You need to identify this. When you identify this, then you also identify your difficulties. I think I made some jokes last week that cramming, if you cram and you can't remember or read, or forget about cramming now. If you read and you don't understand, or perhaps you read, you understand, after a while you forget, it might be a difficulty. Or you read and you fail to recall when needed, it might be a difficulty. You read, you smile, your friend smiles at you or give you a warm hug and they hug away what you've read, it might be a difficulty. Why is somebody laughing? I think are you understand what I'm saying? Or a cool handshake, a handshake that should confer friendship immediately takes whatever you've read away. It should be. Or you look at question number 1 and immediately question number 1 down to question number 30 looks alike. So sometimes when you're looking at the question, you say the answer is not here. When did they even teach us this one? Are you understanding? Or maybe you even see a strange material. Oh God, this thing happened sometime. Myself and Caleb, we read the same material, right? Caleb, in terms of his learning pace compared to where I was as I then in 200 level, Caleb learning pace was faster than mine. All right. So that same material, I kept that material for myself and I refused to give Caleb intentionally because I know if Caleb gets a hold of this material, all these things I say I'm reading is my mind. He will understand it even more. So I kept that material to myself. Then one day, I think we're supposed to have tests or so. He got the material to photocopy. Then he had his own copy of the material. When Caleb came back and was explaining the things that was in the material, I was tempted to ask myself, is it the same material we read? Are you understand what I'm saying? Me, I've read. But when Caleb was explaining the things he found in this material, I was lost. That doesn't make me a bad learner, right? It just shows that I've been unable to identify my learning pace, and until I do that, quick understanding will not happen. Guys, are we together? Now, having identified your learning pace, right? You identify your learning preferences, then you identify your learning difficulties. You now do that with the aim of improving your pace. If you are currently a slow pace learner, you can be a mid-pace learner. It's very possible. Applying the things I'm going to be giving you this very section. If you are a mid-pace learner, you can move from being a mid-pace learner to a fast-paced learner. Somebody getting what I'm saying? So all of those paces you find, slow, mid, fast, if there's even anyone you desire, faster, ultra fast, anyone, there's a possibility to move from those areas. All right, it's possible, and it's possible to also expand your preferences. It's also possible to address those learning difficulties. All you are doing here is with the aim of improving them. So this is quick understanding. So somebody walks up to you and tell you, I have quick understanding because I can understand 120 page of a material in 60 minutes. Okay, no problem. You engage them with questions from that same material. If they tell you anything that relates to OMO, what is OMO? If you know they just tell you OMO, just know that quick understanding has not happened. Now that you know the concept of quick understanding, let's now dive in a bit deeper into understanding itself. We are going somewhere this evening. I feel excited in my heart because I know by the time you share with me your performances from this semester, hey, I'll just be, I'll just be jubilating. I'll just be posting you every year. Are we together? Are we together? Ensure you're writing. So now let's now look at understanding. And my question with respect to understanding is this. Can I measure your understanding? Is it possible to measure understanding? Guys, be free with me now. Is it possible to measure understanding? It's possible. What's your course of study? Give me one course in your Zo 311. Johnson not like that course, ba? Zo 311. What's the title of Zo 311? It sounds like what I wanted. Comparative animal physiology. Kayaya. Comparative animal physiology. Now, with respect to this very course, Zo 311, question is, can I measure your understanding on Zo 311? What do you think? Is it possible?
Yes.
It's possible, right? It's possible to measure your understanding. In fact, biology as a field of study, is it possible to measure your understanding in that very field? It's possible, right? The topic you find in animal physiology, right? Comparative. The topic you find under comparative animal physiology, is it possible to measure your understanding in each one of those topics? It's very possible. Across your respective field of study, the topics involved in your respective field of study or your courses in your field of study and your field of study as a whole is very, very possible to measure your understanding. Now, how do we measure your understanding? Because I want you to apply this to yourself, not to just any other person. I can use this to examine you, but I want you to go back, right, and ask yourself these questions. And of course, there are questions to ask yourself. How do I measure understanding? Number one, application. Application. If you claim to have understood comparative study of animal physiology and you can't apply that knowledge to whether a test, to an exam, or to general life, or whatever field you need to apply it to, if application doesn't happen, understanding hasn't taken place. Guys, are we together? You say you're a mass communicator, all right, and you can't apply the principles of journalism. If journalism is your niche or your specialty, you can't apply journalism or the principle of journalism to your daily life or to whatever aspect of journalism. Understanding hasn't taken place. If you say you are a sociologist, right, and you can't unwrap the principles behind sociology, right, as a field of study and apply it to other field in sociology, either in your test or your exam, understanding hasn't taken place. It can be this painful. You say you're a historian, right, and you can't apply historical facts to your field of study or to your endeavor. If application doesn't happen, understanding hasn't taken place. This is one principle I want to leave you with. If application doesn't happen, what hasn't taken place? Understanding hasn't taken place. It's a very sad reality, but it's very true. Because I want to ensure that what you're doing in school, you're not just reading things. Because I said it last week, you're not reading for the sake of reading. You're not studying for the sake of studying. You're studying because you want to apply these phenomena you're learning. You're studying because you want to be able to apply these things you're learning. And that is when learning will become very interesting, because when you pick up your material, you know you're reading with an intent to apply this very knowledge. It becomes very clear. It becomes very important. Becomes very, very interesting. But when you read for the sake of reading, I can assure you one thing is sure: reading will not be insightful. Reading will not be interesting. It won't even be educative. This is why you sleep while you're reading, and this is why you stay awake when you watch TikTok. True of us. When was the last time you slept while you were watching TikTok? Except maybe you felt sleepy 1 a.m. When was the last time? No, tell me now. When was the last time you fell asleep when you were seeing that very movie? So why is it that you don't feel sleepy when you are seeing a movie, but you feel sleepy whenever you open your material? It's because in that very movie, you are looking out for what that character will do and what you can learn from that character. Guys, just follow me this evening. You are looking out for what you will learn in that very movie and what you will apply. Or maybe you are looking for the next big slang or the next big word, right? You will learn. You are just looking out for something. Or maybe if you are into the fashion world, or maybe you sew, you are looking at the dress sense of the character, so you can pick one fashion sense and begin to apply. Life happens, or learning becomes so interesting when you find something to apply. I'm now telling you that, listen, when you pick up your material and you have that same intent, that as I'm reading this material, I want to apply something, I tell you, learning will no longer be boring. Learning will no longer be boring. So application is the first sign to show that you have understanding. Then number two is transfer. When I mean transfer now, I mean your ability to teach others. What you claim to understand, right? If you can't transfer by means of explaining it to other persons, you don't yet understand it, or you don't understand it well enough. Just follow me carefully. I've seen people who, if they see a movie, right, before you, don't even attempt to see that movie with them. Don't try it, oh. Just tell them you will see the movie on your own leisure time. Because if you attempt to see the movie with them, though the movie is still in the first scene, they will tell you what will happen in the later scene. And it gets beyond that. After you've seen many movies, if you just see the start of the movie, if you are somebody that does a lot of Nigerian movie, once you just see the first scene, the driver just drove past, boom, and he splashes water on the young man. The young man had CV, and the lady was like, "Can't you see? Are you blind?" You just know that first scene, what will happen later, is that lady will fall in love with that. Are you understanding? You are getting it now, right? But notice how you did not see the end of that movie, but you just know that if this thing should be the first scene, Tori Olorun, this will be the last scene. And you were so correct. And they're giving the opportunity to explain that movie. You know, I have friends that, I have one of them, now with courage. See, if she has the opportunity to give you or narrate a movie for you, you want to hear the movie from her than going to see the movie on YouTube. And some of you are like that. Is there anything bad there? No, it's exciting. Only that scene, it shows that you have the ability to teach others what you've seen. Now the thing now is to show that you have understanding in your course material, you must retain that same ability to transfer knowledge. And when I mean teach others, or when I mean transfer knowledge, you don't need to do it like Mr. Rice. You don't need to bring dropboard and tell them this is number. No. What I'm saying is you should have the ability to just communicate it. And just tell them, this is what I understand from sociological problems. If you are able to transfer knowledge, I tell you, understanding will be locked. You will lock in that very understanding. Everybody, are we together? Yes, sir. Are we together? Then thirdly is results. Once you claim you understand, you should be able to, number one, apply, number two, transfer, and number three, you should have result for it. Results is what you can call performance, right? Performance. Now, for a very long time, and you will agree with me, in our educational system, right, let's say for the last 50 decades, right, or even more, what we have focused on, right, as educators, as school teachers, and the rest of that is on performance. That's why the best way we measure your understanding is to give the exam. And I am one of those educators that will tell you the best way to measure a student's understanding is not by exam. I'll be the last person to write a student off because he fails an exam on paper.
I'm with you, sir.
Are you getting what I'm saying? Anything would have gone wrong. The condition for writing the exam would have been bad. How would you even be writing the exam and there's no fan over your head? You're just sweating, you are looking for fan, and somebody has the guts to score you and say you have 20/60 and even draw your face and draw your eye. If I catch any teacher do that to my own student or to my son or my daughter, you explain what you mean. Because anything would have gone wrong. So, even though it's a proof of understanding, measuring your understanding only by paper is a very wrong way. It's not enough. This is why it is very possible to see a student who will have 60/60 on paper, yet that student is not an excellent student. Very possible. In fact, I'm the last person to impress with your performance. I'll be very excited, right? If you come and tell me, sir, 5.00 CGPA, I'm excited. But beyond that CGPA, I want to be sure that you can, number one, apply what you passed. Don't be distracted, guys. I want to be sure that you can apply what you passed. I want to be sure that you can transfer what you now know. That's the height of understanding. Guys, somebody getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
I'm teaching from the depth of my heart. I'm telling you. Because I don't want anybody to bamboozle you. So that when you fail in an exam on paper, you are consoled. You ask yourself this question. Okay, I failed on paper. But can I apply this knowledge? You can apply and you score yourself that yes, I can apply. Can you transfer? I say yes, I can transfer. Listen, you did not fail. Because it's very possible to fail on paper, but it's impossible to find a student who can apply the knowledge from his or her course of study, right? In addition, transfer that knowledge and fail an exam. Because you can apply, you can transfer. You just give the lecturer a marking scheme. Somebody together, are we together? So, are we here? Are we here? Are we here? So, how can we measure your understanding? Number one, application. Number two, number three. These are the three ways you can measure understanding. So this is how you're going to be measuring your understanding going forward. As you pick up that material and you're reading, regardless of how complex it might be, ask yourself, can I apply? Can I transfer? Can I make a result out of this? And I'll show you how to do this. Now that we have this foundation on the way, let's answer the first question guiding this section. How do I then find my learning pace? In the light of this, right, learning pace refers to the speed at which you acquire new knowledge, right? The speed at which you acquire new knowledge, your learning pace, the speed at which you acquire new knowledge. So you are new to comparative study of animal physiology. It's a new field of study for you, right? Learning